And now for some more reaction on the passing of King Goodwill Zwelithini, kaBhekuzulu is passing. We now bring in the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. A very good day, and thank you so much for joining us on this at this difficult time. In announcing the passing, Umntwana Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi mentioned you amongst the people who have sent their sympathies. Would you be able to share with us what message you sent in your message of condolence?
Well, of course, we were very sad and shocked at the passing away of Isilo, King Goodwill Zwelithini, kaBhekuzulu. But our condolences mainly to the royal family, to his wives, to his children, to the Zulu nation as a whole. Because King Zwelithini is a king that we worked closely with, obviously, as part of my responsibility in government. But even before that, it's somebody that I'd interacted with over a long period of time. I've known the king when he was still a young person, when I was still at high school, in part because one of his wives was at high school with me, and I knew him then. And when I was at university, she was also at university, the wife, one of the wives, so I knew him. So he's a person I've known over a long time, but he's a person I've respected as the Zulu king. So I didn't say a lot in my letter of condolences because it was still very early. I will still write a proper letter of condolence. Thank you.
You speak about your responsibility and work in government. As the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, you would have dealt with the king quite a lot, one assumes. Tell us about these interactions.
Well, I've had a number of interactions, but maybe one that I will single out is when we went to discuss with him about the work of government insofar as the approach that we were taking in the district development model. We went to see him and he came with his royal council, and we explained how we are going to work, because in working through the district development model, it means all the stakeholders must be part of that forum, and AmaKhosi are part of that. So we had to explain to him so that he understands how we are going to work, particularly with AmaKhosi, but also with the people, even in his own district. And he was very happy, and he really made exchanges, because he was talking about how he would really like to see more work in the community to create wealth in the community through agriculture, through creating other jobs. So he was a very engaged king in terms of community development.
How will his passing impact the work of Cogta?
Well, of course, his passing will be a loss, because he's been a prominent person in the traditional affairs of our country. But we hope that we will learn from his passing, and learn lessons from how he did things, because he wasn't just engaged in things for the Zulu nation. He was also engaged in issues of the nation. For instance, he was very much engaged in the fight against HIV, which was a global fight, not just a South African fight. And he really was very keen on health issues. I remember one time we, at a different interaction, where he was talking about cleanliness, about how it's important for people to keep themselves clean, their homes clean, the water they drink. And he was really a health activist in a way, if I were to put it like that.
I suppose the big question today, as we hear of the passing of the king, is how to remember him.
I think we should remember him as a person who was very forthright, who spoke out his mind, but who was also respectful, because when you met him, he didn't, at least in my interactions with him, he was always returning your respect. And of course, he also was an activist in many issues. But like every beautiful rock has its own fault lines. So I would say that I would really remember him as a forthright king, but also as a king who brought back the culture, the Zulu culture, some of which was very useful in terms of building the nation. So he brought all those things. He was a very proud Zulu king.
Minister, we thank you so much for your time this morning. But I just want to say that most of the people we've been speaking to this morning for reaction have been decrying the rate at which traditional leaders have been passing away in the most recent past. How is this impacting, how is this translating into losses within the work of the department?
Well, it is translating into losses because, one, it means we are losing continuity, we are losing experience, and generally, sometimes it takes long to replace, in some instances, to get a succession. So it does impact on the work of the department. But also to lose experienced leaders like King Zwelithini and others, it does impact. So yes, as Cogta, we are feeling this loss. It's not just in one area, it's different provinces that have had these losses. So yes, it's impacting quite a bit on our work, and we're losing experience and continuity.
Let's thank you once again for your time this morning, and condolences to the whole Cogta fraternity and people who have been dealing with the departed.
Thank you very much for having us. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Minister for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Cogta, Minister Nkosazana, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma.